Welcome, everyone, to the 1500 slot machines walk into a bar talk, adventures in quantity over quality. A couple notes before we get started. Please silence your phones. Also, you may have heard that there is a event given next door by Microsoft with some servers that need some extreme cooling, so it's extremely cold in here. That's untrue. We told them to turn the heat way down because the heat's going to get way up in this talk. Am I right? Yes. So my name is Alex Schwartz, and I founded and ran Alchemy Labs. The folks behind mobile games, Smuggle Truck, Jack Lumber, Discourse. We also made Job Simulator and Rick and Morty VR. We were acquired by Google a little over a year ago, and I left recently to found an unannounced new venture.
And I am Ziba. I run Pop Cannibal, makers of such gems as Adult Swim's Girls Like Robots, the IGF-nominated Elegy for a Dead World, and boat-building crowdfunding success Make Sail, now in early access.
So let me first start off by, you may have read the description, you may have come to this talk thinking, what's going on here? Let me tell you what we did. In 2013, as a joke/experiment, the two of us built a robot that builds slot machine games, a lot of slot machine games. And this robot went on its journey to automate the process of creating, reskinning, theming, and launching those slot machines on the Android Google Play Store. We eventually created 1,500 slot machines. Way beyond our expectations, we received over 1 million installs of these slot machines and made actual money. So let's talk about this.
So we are going to tell our tale today in 4 parts. First, Alex is going to describe the seed of our discontent, which blossomed into this enterprise. Second, you will ride with us as we roll this snowball downhill, collecting mass and speed, until third, we realize this may not be a joke. And finally, we will enrich your lives with conclusions that can only be arrived at by people who have breathed the rarefied air from heights such as we have achieved.
So let's go back to 2013. Just a quick heads up, if you're watching the slides during the talk, at the bottom in the footer, every once in a while, we'll have actual slot machines that were created and released and downloaded with real stats displayed next to them, so keep an eye out for those gems like 3D Puffin slots with 42,000 downloads. So, 2013, here's a picture of Ziba and myself, just 2 indie game developers with Hulk hands. And we were working together in a co-working space making video games. And at the time, we had actually just launched premium mobile titles, and we're kind of coming across subpar sales and discontent with the whole market. 2013 was a different time, and we felt like we were doing everything right based on what we knew about the mobile market at that time, everything within our power to succeed. So by that I mean we were hitting all these kind of like, we're doing it right checkboxes on mobile. We were working with big brand name publishers, which was Sega, Adult Swim Games. We were winning awards. We were getting good reviews. And none of that seemed to actually make a difference in making our money back and being able to make enough money to make the next game. So at this point, we're pretty much concluding that the mobile space is dying, at least for premium games. And we weren't feeling too happy about that, and sharing that unhappiness with our other indie friends and seeing that, hey, this is not really a great market. And we were looking through the App Store and realizing how kind of scummy and gross some parts of it can really be. And there's clones everywhere, there's garbage reskins, low effort shovelware, and casino phone bill, I have no idea. Like, what is this gummy bear card game? I have no idea. Jackpots all around. And so we thought, this garbage, how do we do better? How do we do gross better? How do we hit rock bottom and find that spot? So Global Game Jam was coming up, and it was at MIT, and we're feeling so burnt out on mobile, and we just thought, let's just build something really, really out there.
So I did most of the tech on this project, I'll admit to that. So at this point, we want to make a terrible game. I didn't know if I was capable of that, but I was going to try really hard. Then we need to clone it over and over. So this involves like pictures and sounds and assets, and it just sounds exhausting. And like, how even do slot machines work? Nah, let's not bother with any of that. Sorry. There we go. We just bought one off the asset store. $15. So that's right. Our whole talk, our whole enterprise is all based on a $15 game that we did not even make ourselves. It was just this generic machine. You pull the handle, you get noises and spinny things and coins sometimes. I don't know. I don't actually really know much about how these slot machines work. Just don't judge us too harshly, though, because we did put in effort to make it our own. We stuck advertising on it. Thank you. You're welcome. Playhaven ads, to be specific, and Alex will tell you later how they eventually felt about that. So this is going great, but we only have one game, and I needed infinite games, which required further and deeper customization. So we swap the name. Curling Slots becomes Cantaloupe Slots. Curling Stone becomes Cantaloupe. Are you feeling that yet? This is, okay, wait, there's more. So we also added in an about blurb for every slot. It's this flavor text. It just really brings the feel of the theme to you. In this example here, we have hair slots, which, did you know hair is a protein filament? These are practically educational games at this point. And the piece de resistance, every slot gets a custom theme song. So we use text-to-speech for the vocals, and then we deftly match that in with our fat beats. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Cantaloupe.
Oh. So then we just swap those assets about 1,000 times by hand. Of course not. We wrote a Unity editor script that would just take one word, and then it would use Google to download the text-to-speech for our hot track. It would go to Wikipedia to pull in a blurb for the About page. Sometimes we'd end up with a disambiguation page, because like GDC also means General Dental Council and other stuff. I didn't really care, because sacrifices to quality weren't just made, they were sought after. We used Google's image search API to find the images until we hit a rate limit. We used Bing's image API to find some images. Thank you, Bing. So at this point, we can just type themes into Unity, and it pulls in all these images. It makes the app, and this is amazing, but that does not cover publishing these in the Google Play Store. The Google Play Store, it wants screenshots. It has these checkboxes and blurbs and more screenshots and drop downs. And Google, you are asking too much of me. Are you trying to ruin my entire day? Oh, privacy policy, yeah. So the screenshots and the icons were not a real problem. We just go into Unity, we move the camera around, we throw up a sassy frame, bam. That's quality. But for the actual Android developer page, enter Selenium. So Selenium is this super potent web automation tool that lets you record, customize, and play back these web browser interactions. So we connected that into our Unity editor script, and we got it to open up Chrome, log in as our Google account, create a new Android app, fill in all these text boxes, screenshots, blurbs, more nasty checkboxes, upload the APK, and it's live. So at this point, we have reduced the gap between conceiving of a game and having it live in the marketplace to typing in one word and pressing enter.
So you might be wondering, what? Now what? Well, some stats for you. First 2 months, we launched 126 games, had 32,000 downloads. Some old classics such as Richard III Slots. 71 downloads in the U.S. Great. We've got the Harlem Shake Slots. 2013. Remember, it was cool then.
Sure it was.
So, this thing's chugging along. We launched some games. We had our fun. So we did what any self-respecting game developers did: is we walked away and forgot about it. And we actually came back many months later after the holidays. A lot of times app stores have kind of a bump during the holidays. We're like, oh, I wonder what happened. And we saw the downloads went way up, but then we checked our Playhaven ad network backend. And, we were surprised as you. We first saw that in January and throughout the holidays, we were making $210 a day on ads. Not only that, we saw that the eCPM for those interstitial ads was at $59. And so I think we promptly Googled what is an eCPM, and that's way too high. We also saw, and I'm no scientist, but 27% click-through on the ad. There's no way that humans click on ads anywhere above somewhere around 1%. So we needed to step back and think, what have we done? What's happening here? What the fuck is going on? And after thinking for a bit, we have to kind of step back and think about the basics. What are video games, and why do people show ads in games? So the typical mobile model for ads, which I'll dub the retention model, is, as I see it, you make something of a quality game for the intention of having human beings have fun in said game so that they will stay inside of the app. And if they're playing for longer, you could show them more ads, right? And this is in one game. Now, what if you took this model and you turned it completely on its head? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the signal-to-noise anti-retention model. You have an obscenely low-quality game, thousands of them, in fact, that are found via hyper-specific keyword searches. If you really love unicorns, we've got like 9 slots for you. It's great. Then you get the game, and you're instantly bored, disappointed, dismayed, disgusted. And then, bam, we show you an ad. But not just any ad, a perfect ad. This ad looks so damn good. The idea that a real game of quality is just out of reach. That with a single click, you could be onto greener pastures. The contrast in quality between where you are in this garbage pile and where you could be is so high that of course you click to escape. You click for a better future. And maybe that's why our games are making a lot of money. I don't know. So it's just a theory. So clearly, chugging along. Thanks, Shutterstock. The next thing is, clearly we have to put more time into this, obviously. So next step, got to incorporate Signal to Noise LLC. You're welcome. We are the noise. Yeah.
Okay, so technically what we had was good, but my life was not yet all just champagne and Three Musketeers bars. I had 2 major problems. One, we had to sit there and type in theme after theme, wait for the process, type in another theme. Imagine sitting at a computer for up to 20 minutes a day just so you could publish a half a dozen games. No. Second problem, we discovered Google had a max 15 app a day upload limit. I mean, come on. It's like they're not even trying to support our workflow. It's time to re-architect. So I wrote a web service and a website middleman. We call it the Goose. Golden Goose. And it's a PHP MySQL server with this HTML front end, and it takes keywords, and then it lets me pick from several of Bing's finest images, and I can tweak the blurb if I'm feeling artsy, and it lets us build up a long queue. We can just pile 100 different ideas into this. Most importantly, I stole Unity's documentation style sheets for this site, so at a distance, my activities looked very legit to my office mates. Please note, there's only one language. Yeah. So we put these hundreds of apps into the Goose, and then back in Unity, it doesn't have to talk to all these crazy different APIs. It just talks to the Goose. It says, "Hey Goose, give me an egg," which describes one of these apps, and then it builds its 15 of the day, and now it publishes it. And we can now do this from a web browser. Anywhere in the world, we are just typing in our ideas and willing these slots into the world. But what I don't like is that I have to leave a Unity license open and a machine running that's capable of building all these, and it ties up my license, and I have other side hustles that I need to be getting on with, and I'm not trying to break any terms of service. So the next idea is, how do we free up the Unity license? We realize we only need Unity to build the slots, not to publish them. So we have the website where we just throw 100 ideas in. We go to Unity, and then we just build hundreds of slot machines all at the same time, but instead of publishing them, we just shove them back up into the Goose. And moving on to the next step, we built a standalone game that does the publishing. It says, "Hey Goose, do you have anything that needs published?" It opens a Chrome, does its thing, and publishes. So now any cheap computer can be a publishing terminal. And so you can think of this very much like SETI at home. There's this central repository of important work that any computer can now process to advance the state of mankind. What you're explicitly seeing here is that every time Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War gets hit in the head by an image from Bing, a slot machine is born into the world. So with this, we could keep a stream of 15 games a day being published as long as we had this queue of them ready to go in a garbage laptop waiting to do its bit. On a good day, we did absolutely nothing.
So you might be wondering, what resulted of this next adventure? Is 10 people still playing lobster slots? I don't know why. 1 year in, we had launched 750 games with over 200,000 downloads across those games. So a couple quick stats. We've got bowling slots, a simple bowling game with 8,000 downloads. We've got dolphin slots, which is killing it, 17,000 downloads just for dolphin slots. It's very America and Malaysia, you know. And we've got now hundreds of apps on the store. We're bound to get some takedowns or arbitrary takedowns from Google, right? First, you know, we saw apparently side boob is no longer okay. Which, that image alone, if I were to show it to you with no other context, no one would know that that's side boob. Once you add the text, maybe. We're starting to get bug reports from users in emails. So that means that someone's so engaged and so upset about their diaper slots having crashed that they opened up, you know, Gmail, screenshotted, sent it to us, and had a whole thing about it. We're getting user reviews back. Yeah. These are actual user reviews, I swear to you. Why are people enjoying any of this? I don't understand. Okay, some fair content. This person really wants to rate it lower than 1 star. That's fine. But this person really loves dolphins, and they were very satisfied. This person also loves dolphins. And you know what? I think we served them well. So at this point, the robots arrived, and this is in the form of automated email outreach. So let me clarify. Our automated B2C casino app company is now starting to attract automated B2B outreach. So here's a good screenshot. App Eggs was very interested in promoting 3D cabbage slots. I could see why. This baby's headed straight for the top. But we're also getting a couple other pieces of outreach from that company. And, you know, we both run actual companies, and we get a lot of spam, and our bullshit detector's really high, and a lot of, you could tell, like, hey, they're not actually talking to me. That's just a robot that said this. And when I get those at the real company that I run, I feel like, man, I don't deserve getting all this spam. But here I kind of feel like we absolutely deserved getting all this spam. And, that's fine.
Okay, so third push. Already on a good day, we are doing nothing, but we still have to occasionally shovel keywords back into the goose. So it's time to optimize. Question is, what makes great garbage? Why are dolphin slots hot and hot tamales not? Well, when we started making these slot machines, we were just kind of randomly coming up with these themes willy-nilly. It's kind of like Kaiser Sose. We're looking around the room. We're making microphone slots, handsome co-presenter slots, beautiful audience slots, whatever we want. We're just throwing them out there. But it occurs to us that most people are probably getting to our apps by searching for something they actually wanted and just stumbling over us instead. So how can we figure out what it is they're searching for so they are sidetracked by us more often? Well, we couldn't find any actual search lists for the App Store, but there does exist Google Trends, which is just a global list of what people are searching for on Google. So here's a shot of Google Trends last week. The stuff in red are the sort of the problematic things. It's a bit of a copyright landmine. So once you filter out all the celebrities and sex offenders and litigious institutions, what you're left with are mostly current events, and often they're actually very weird current events, which of course we used. This led to an early favorite of ours, deer antler spray slots. So this was, at the time, there was some sort of NFL doping scandal where people were spraying themselves with deer antler derivatives. I don't know. I'm not a reporter. I don't have a responsibility to actually carry this story to you. I just made the slot machine. And so this one has a particular spot in our hearts. But surprisingly, it actually failed to garner an audience. So if Google Trends isn't working for us, there's not enough of them, and people aren't into it, what can we do to automate this more? How can we think less? Word lists. So I downloaded several large lists of words. And you may also have noticed that we have a bit of a formula to our slot. So let me give you the tour of that. First, 3D, because 3D is hot. It's the future. Also, it's really good for the alphabetical optimization. It's right there on the top of your phone. And then an adjective, any old adjective will do. I have a very long list of them, and they're not all great. And after that, we put in a subject. Every country got a slot machine. And slots, to let them know what it is, because with this audience, there are some questions. And free, so you know what an incredible value this is. Then we made a button in the Goose where I could just click try again over and over, and it would just iterate through this, shuffle them together, go through the APIs and stuff, and this is how we came up with genius such as Viceroy Butterfly and Tremendous Face Pain slots. I did love that one. Which culminated in the creation of a masterpiece.
By far my favorite slot. Maybe the greatest slot of our generation. Something so specific that one pure soul out there might see it and think, wow, they really know me, they know my needs, and they know my generation. And I present to you 3D inexperienced great horned owl slots free. I mean, I was training a great horned owl recently, and I had some difficulty with their owl-related drills, and I thought, oh man, I should go to this slot for comfort. But yeah, maybe it is slightly too specific or too targeted. So at this point, we thought we need a professional. We need to bring on a contractor who can help us decipher all this data and optimize. Yeah, let's do it. If you recall from our presentation description on GDC, we said that we involved an MIT statistician. I regret to inform you that we forgot what university they were from, and that was incorrect. They were actually a Harvard psychology PhD. I regret that small error. So she came back to us with some real scientific-looking data, and I won't bore you with the statistics, but I will call out one of my favorite parts in the middle, which was that in the spirit of automation, she employed Amazon Mechanical Turk to do all the mundane tagging and sorting of the slots, which, for those who are not familiar, Mechanical Turk is a farm of human beings who complete tasks that robots cannot yet get to the level of automating, which is just perfect. So our consultant, on her own, without inquiring with us, outsourced monotonous work to essentially a human robot farm so that we could better automate creating robots. Anyway, the final slide of the presentation was the most important one. What are the takeaways? What have we learned about all this data? We learned that sex is great. People hate other people. And they hate objects. But they love dogs, and specifically dogs. So you're welcome, everyone. This is the hot, juicy data that you could use in your games moving forward. So yeah, we're giving it away for free, which is incredible. We also, after seeing all this, are wondering about all the inputs, and there's so many things we could test against. One thought was, what if we did a side experiment to see and try to answer the question, does quality actually play a role in all of this? So we thought, let's just rewrite the entire slot machine from scratch and make a really good slot machine and see how it compares to our really bad slot machine. But we clearly were not incentivized to do that. So we used some of the money that was coming in to outsource the entire process to Romania. And you know what? We reached out and found a fine Romanian developer who, we reached out to him under a pseudonym, Ron, and paid them hourly to mock up, art, design, program a new slot machine template from scratch. You can see this looks very complicated. I have no idea what it does.
No idea.
Apparently you can bet on 15 separate lines, and there's all these kinds of knobs and buttons that people who play slot machines like. So we did that. And it got built, and it's beautiful, and it had audio and all these things. And we never ended up launching it because we were too busy creating the low-quality ones. But I regret that part of the story. But.
So at this point, we have lots of questions and opportunities what to do next. And what do you do at your company when you need to make high-level decisions? Company retreat. So just like our original slot machine, we did not set up this retreat ourselves. We used somebody else's shit. It was time, coincidentally, for the annual Indie Cabin. So every year for almost a decade, East Coast Indies, we pull in about 10 to 20 game developers in a cabin in Vermont or New Hampshire, and we work and play for a week. So this particular cabin, we show up, we have this growing awareness that we've kind of been torching our friends with our hilarious slot stories and how easy it is to make money for years now. So we came with a pile of booze, sort of as a bribe or apology to forgive our exuberance. And as a stunning counterpoint to demonstrate our inability to stop celebrating ourselves, we showed up wearing deer antler spray t-shirts.
By the way, we created one extra, and this is the last and final shirt that exists in the world for deer antler spray slots. It's a medium. Raise your hand if you would like it, and we'll throw it directly into that pile of hands somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had the picture of it there. That's it. For all you who didn't get one, this is what you're missing out on. It's really comfy, too. All right, so at this point, we are literally drunk on our own power here. It was excellent. I regret nothing, but this is when a lot of the negatives and the opportunity costs start to come into focus for us. So let me paint a picture of this pivotal point. So this cabin we've rented is actually an off-season sex therapy retreat that was last rented by strong and vigorous people. So Alex and I are in a room with beautiful tapestries of barely abstracted genitalia and a shattered bed. And we are there, this is where you hold your business meetings. We are there with a friend who is a perennial advisor and investor in the indie sphere. And he's telling us, this really isn't a joke. Looking at your growth curves and what's happening, and if you actually paid more serious attention to this, you could pull in real investors. You could maybe sell your company, sell your data, or just go further yourselves and maybe make piles of money, but you'd have to take it seriously. So we're looking down that road, and the question is, are the people down that road still us? Would this be our first steps to wild success as a business person, or is it going to convince us to cross lines we maybe didn't want to cross and we become supervillains? Should we really go all in on this crap factory?
So this is the point at which a number of mounting issues and back-to-back kind of surprise issues arose, all adding to the overall friction of this enterprise that we're trying to do on the side. So keep in mind, first off, this is several hundred hours of work so far. The entire enterprise is a fragile scaffolding with so many points of failure. It's incredible and hard to even explain. So the whole process end to end relied on so many external services, over a dozen, all remaining functional every day for this to keep going. There's servers, databases, text-to-speech, the developer backend remaining consistent, Bing, Wikipedia, Unity updates, ad network stuff. In fact, if a new language or country is added to Google Play or a checkbox gets moved 10 pixels to the right, the entire thing falls apart. And that's not to mention when Unity updates and you need to fix things, and Android SDK updates that are required for the Play Store, or hosting issues that come up. And so in addition to all of that pain, there's now competing interests in our lives as developers doing real things outside of the side hustle. VR is just beginning to take off as the Oculus DK1 Kickstarter happened and Alchemy was jumping on that and focusing there. LG was getting some great attention, I believe.
Yeah, my sensitive poetry writing game is in the experimental gameplay workshop. I'm an artist.
And right around this time, this is all happening very, very quickly after the advisor meeting, is we were contacted by our ad provider, Playhaven, and they said, hey, can we have a meeting? We were like, why are we so nervous about this? Is it because we did something wrong? Did we do something wrong?
We tried not to.
And so we had this call, and I'll describe it to you. They said, we're seeing some fairly erratic data coming from your side of the world. You did not break any terms of service. To be very clear, we did not break any terms of service. You're not doing anything wrong per se. You're just inconvenient to us. And they said, we're not interested in continuing to serve ads in your games, plural. And also, by the way, you have the worst users somehow. No one who comes from your apps wants to spend any money. And I think there's another way to think about that, which is you're welcome for segmenting your users so finely, and you should be able to capitalize off of that. But you know what? Fine. We're off to Chart Boost immediately. No worries. And you know what? That relationship turned out quite well. We even received this little digital postcard from them after a few months. So how sweet.
Thanks, Chart Boost.
At the same time, Google, anyone who's a Google developer knows that you just get emails about the store and what's changing and new terms of service updates. And they send out these periodic emails. And they seem to start kind of mentioning some common topics, which are about repetitious apps and duplicate content, and then specifically unique functionality being maintained within the ecosystem. And so it sounds increasingly like they're talking directly to us. And we're wondering, okay, we need to actually make that decision now as, like, where are we going? What are we doing? So you might be wondering, what happened next? This thing is making real money, some. There's some obvious issues to deal with, but they're not insurmountable. We could fix them. It requires serious dedication, pulling back from the main things that we're doing. So what did we do? We walked away again. That was our big decision? Yes. Lazily stopped touching the entire thing. Inaction was absolutely the decision that we took. And I think the weight and the responsibility of all the things that we still could not automate away from ourselves was what ultimately drove us from not wanting to continue. Don't get us wrong. Don't get me wrong. We left the keys in the car and the car running. We didn't shut it down. We just let it die slowly over many years. We watched the empire slowly crumble and just focused on making real video games. But the enterprise lasted way longer than we thought it would. So when you log into Google Play now, it alerts you at the top very helpfully that, hey, one of your apps needs attention. That is the understatement of the century. It is a ghost town, hundreds of apps all removed, the ghost town of its previous grandeur. Of course, installs dwindled over time down to 0, but it lasted years past the mission it was constructed for, much like some other proud robots out there. And, I think it's worth going over a couple fun facts about the ashes of our empire. First, the Middle East loves puffins. Useful. The US loves Obama 62 times more than Malaysia. And India is super into sexy librarian slots. We see you, India. And so here we are, present day. And I think it's worth reflecting on the journey about what we built, why we built it, and how it changed the world. So clearly you're thinking, well, what's the legality of all this? I will answer that. We're always within the legal lines to our knowledge. Our auto-generation algorithm did occasionally stumble upon some trademarks, sure. If we ever got a takedown from Google, we would of course comply. For example, the time that we stumbled upon someone who had a very aggressive trademark for Bible slots. We received a takedown, of course we removed it. We want to let the Bible slots person continue on their way.
They worked hard for that.
Yeah. So if it's legal, sure, but is it ethical? Ziba?
So, first question, did we harm players? Well, we never took their money. That was a big line for us. It's gambling. Some people have problems with that. I'm not really educated in that area, and I don't want to be involved in these problems. We only took money from ad providers, and I don't feel bad about that. And in fact, I think that puts us a cut above a lot of other slot machines, and we're actually creating a safer place for players to come and enjoy this kind of entertainment. Similarly, we never took anybody's data. Have you ever seen an app as low quality as ours and felt safe that it's not stealing your data? We were a real cut above in being a steward of our players' money and privacy. Of course, you saw we had quite a few good reviews. Not all, but some people we were happy with this. We were bringing joy into the world. And as a tangent, if you remember, that is actually against our business model. If we really wanted to go furthest, we would have brought more disgust into the world. But the virtuous beings we are could not bring ourselves to do that, and we couldn't help but make people happy. Did we harm game developers? I love you all. I wouldn't want to do that to you. So we had the same tools as everybody else. We didn't have some secret back end. We just used them a little differently, possibly more aggressively than the rest of you. But we generally played by the same rules. We drove the speed of traffic. If you look particularly at the Android store, it is a pile of unlicensed Star Wars things and weird clones of your games. We did none of that. And as Alex alluded to earlier, when Playhaven dropped us because they didn't like our users coming out of there, what we had done is we had taken chaos and created order. We had filtered people through into a group. And if they couldn't figure out how to use that knowledge we presented them, that's their loss. But I say we made this ecosystem better by doing that. Did we harm platform holders? We never knowingly broke the terms of service. We didn't argue any of the takedowns. I will still contend that Tasteful Side Boob Slots deserves its shining moment in the sun, but I'm not going to engage in that email thread with anybody at Google. They don't have to worry about that. I think we exposed some insufficiencies gently. Often, when terms of service have to change, it's because some sort of catastrophe happened. Somebody really gamed something, did something bad, there was a leak. But we were, I think, a really gentle partner in this period of discovery about what they did and did not want on the store. Kind of like if you have like a rash on your arm, a doctor may draw a line around it just so you can see if it's growing outside of that line or not. But we were respectful of that line. We were like a very manageable rash that just... It helps to remind you that you should wash your arms more often. Here's a shot of what our actual impact looked like on the store on an average day when we were operating roughly at capacity. So here we are, we're all the way down on like page 6 of specifically top new free casino. Everything outlined in red is ours. And yeah, if you go down to 7, 8, 9, 10, they're probably very similar. There's a lot of us there, but we're not right at the top. And I mean, imagine we were not on this page at all. Number 1 fan, Marijuana Light, might have been half a page higher. And I hope they can forgive us, but I don't think we did too much damage there. So what I'm really getting at is every hour we spent on this was an hour we didn't spend competing with the rest of you for a feature on Android or Apple or Steam. We didn't spend our runway funding on a 4-year passion project that nobody but us wants, underpaying contractors and promising rev share, and filling every subreddit and Twitter thread with our gifs, and elbowing to get cozy with platform holders. We just quietly put out crap. If you spend 4 years making a game that nobody wants, and I spend 4 seconds, who squandered more of their precious life? Who used more of the world's resources, and who took everybody's attention and time? We are the good guys. You all are animals. Yeah. Okay, so that last bit was half disingenuous, and we can argue about that later. I don't really believe all that, though I'm afraid some of it is true. So let me leave you with a bit more of a sincere lesson, which is that this whole project was an itch that felt so good to scratch. We conceived of this improbable idea, and we used our talents to make it come true, and we received rewards. And we thumbed our noses at the mobile market of 2013 that broke our hearts. We got to share these joys with dozens of our friends, and it culminated in this overblown spectacle right here. And the itch is scratched, and now we are done. We have not put out a new slot machine in well over a year. They are all gone from the store, because all that is left would be maintaining this machinery and turning the crank to poop out more slot machines. And you probably realize by now, I do not care about slot machines. So we've moved on. And if there's a business lesson in that, I would say, scratch that crazy itch and try your dream idea there. But be prepared to walk away, even if it is successful, because it may just be the attempt that made you happy and not the result.
Well said, Ziba. I think it's worth going over some final stats to close this out. How many downloads did you actually receive in total? It was 1.6 million downloads of slot games over the course of the history of the company. What was the number 1 slot? I'm sure everyone wants to know. What was it? 3D Sexy Skin Slots, free, 200,000 downloads. And how much money did you guys make over the course of all this? About 50 grand off of ads. That is what happened. Of course, it is worth saying, oh yeah, sorry, click through, 50, we did it. What is the weirdest stat that you came up with? The Sexy Skin Slots, which is number 1, huge in Iran. We see you, Iran. And, I think we need something special to play us out, so here we go.
Thanks for attending the GDC talk.
So we would love to take questions now, but before that, just one more thing.
Okay, so I lied a bit. We have revived enough of the machinery just for today and today only that if you email slots@signaltonoiseapps.com with your idea in the subject line, it will reply to you with a custom slot machine. Today only, you get a slot, etc. Thank you very much. Please fill out your surveys and don't say we never gave you anything.
Questions?
Hi, I'm Simon Rakeshaw. I work at a company that makes real, actual slot machines in casinos in Las Vegas. For us, it costs literally tens of thousands of dollars to get a new game approved. So is there any takeaway that I could get from this?
So the question is, I'm doing this for real, and it's expensive.
Like theoretically, let's say the App Store had a publishing cost. How would this work?
I mean, how much work are you doing? Can
Well,
you do less?
We still spend a lot less time than like actual games. It's still like a couple of months.
Have some pride. These are all actual games. I mean, if I don't know what's going into your budget to do all that, but if you just try harder to make worse things, you'll have some metrics to see if which path is going to lead you to victory.
Okay, metrics, thanks.
Yeah. And remember, it's dogs and sex, and not people or
Puffins.
objects.
Hi, I'm
And
Evan.
puppets.
I'm also a slot game developer. Did not expect this talk to be what it was actually about. Have either of you considered a career in comedy?
Slots pays better.
I have nothing to add.
Hey there. My name's Daniel. I'm a business consultant. And on Monday, I spent my day watching mostly mobile talks, and they were quite depressing of the way that people are monetizing games. And I gotta say that this is way better than all of that stuff. So,
Thank you.
I think the depression cycle is like a 360 loop, and if you go
Yeah.
too far, it becomes
it's like yin and yang.
positive.
One becomes the other. And I'm wondering, with kind of some of the trends that you're seeing in the mobile market and automation through artificial intelligence, do you see this becoming a growing problem with game developers in the market? This type of thing being exploited?
Repeat the question, do we see what we're doing in automation becoming a growing problem in the mobile market?
Yeah.
I've been so far removed from the mobile market for many years because personally, as someone who focuses on weird new innovation in experimental hardware and new markets, mobile is a more mature market where you need user acquisition and you need much bigger budgets, so it's not really well suited for me.
Mm-hmm.
Will machine learning change the entire ecosystem of mobile? I think it will for targeted user acquisition. I think that will get more and more honed, but you're still relying on an ecosystem of quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that machine learning is going to help with the creation of higher quality art. If there are a way to optimize for that, that would be very interesting. But it seems very far removed from the end goal of getting it onto mobile and making money through ads off of that art. So I don't see. I mean, spam. Spam will get more until it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is all just terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's not just mobile, it's everywhere. Everything is going to be susceptible to bold new methods of creating things in volume. And we're just on a wave of that. It's going to happen. Let's all enjoy that.
Well, I think that leads to a curation just becoming more and more important
Right.
in every app ecosystem. And so the whole free Wild West of like, well, whatever gets downloads is going to be the top thing that you open and see. I think maybe we're starting to realize that that's not the greatest method of creating a good user experience for players.
So more curation.
Which is not where a lot of the markets are going anyway. I mean, it's
No,
not what the platform holders are doing.
That is not what platforms are doing.
So maybe automated curation.
Maybe.
And then, you subscribe to things, and they'll just make automated purchase for you. Like Humble Monthly, that's just them. Maybe they have algorithms deciding what's in there, and you've just thrown their money, and it's automating the purchasing, it's automating the advertising, it's automating what's in the stores. We don't have to do anything anymore, and we're great consumers.
It's great. We don't even have to play the things that we automatically bought.
It's actually interesting you mentioned automating curation, because another side project I did over a weekend a few years ago was when Steam Curator program was announced. built a website called Steam Curator, so you can curate which curators you want to look at. So I think that there's a couple levels deeper that we could go there, and I think that's a ripe opportunity.
Oh, thanks, guys. This was a great way to start my day.
Okay, so I'm a huge slots fan.
Are you drunk right now?
Maybe. No, I was going to ask both of you if you could speak to, apart from all of this related to mobile, if you have a mobile game in the last year that has really stood out to you, just to give a moment of curation.
Oh, wow. Check my phone.
Polytopia is incredible. That's what it's called, right?
Polytopia?
Yeah. No one went woo. Am I the only one who likes Polytopia? Is that a thing? Did I make that game up? Did I imagine this in a dream? It's like that little Civ-like game. It's incredible. Go play it.
A real recommendation, I would say anything that Zach Gage makes. I've been playing Pocket Pool on my phone for months now. It's absolutely incredible.
Yes, Cinco Paus that's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyways, how many times did Google break your automation for publishing?
Well, one too many, at least. The question was, how many times did Google break our automation? Repeatedly, because, it's probably in the, somewhere in the low double digits. I would say we had to go in and fix it, because things like a new country comes in, or a country would change its policy about gambling, so we actually had to be aware of, Korea's no longer allowing gambling apps. We had to go in and add a privacy policy to everything. And then we had to there were changes where we would have to actually add a privacy policy link to every app. So we wrote the infrastructure for updating every app, not just publishing, which is a whole different set of APIs. And if you update to just add the app at all, they're going to require you to catch up to all the not required updates before. So they introduced new screenshot sizes, which was fine until you actually updated your app. Now you have to also do new screenshots. I had to find these images from it. It was a hot mess. There was actually a lot more weird moving bits than we talked about, because this isn't a tech talk.
So I feel like you've found this gem of the anti-retention model. Do you ever feel like there's some new way that you've wanted to wield it in the future, or any ideas in the past that you've had?
What more can be done with the anti-retention model?
Yeah, but that's the question. Escapism as a business model, I think it's travel agencies. But no, what do we...
I feel like Microsoft's doing that right now with their refrigeration and chasing people out of the room somehow. If they can benefit from that, if we can apply that to other spheres of our life, like talks, and somehow profit from scaring people away from things, we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah. I don't know that anti-retention scales across multiple people trying to do it. I haven't thought about that. Is that a one-takes-all type of model? I think we have a lot to think about as a society and as a group here.
We're going to need another retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the only way you could make this more legitimate is to add a blockchain.
I had like a slide that came after this that says, "What about blockchain?" ? And then I deleted it, but I would have shown it right then.
So I would posit that anti-retention is actually just curation, because you're sending people somewhere.
Well, hopefully after the curation process, and then you get the thing, you enjoy it.
Oh, fair enough. So I had a real question as well. Did you actually do any source control for these things you were generating, or was it sort of a once-off and they're all gone, or is there a GitHub with these things somewhere?
The question is there a pile of slot machines somewhere? Yes. It's a big pile. I managed to get, I don't know if DreamHost is regretting their unlimited space offer right now on the hosting. A lot of slot machines.
Thanks, guys. This was extraordinarily entertaining. Just a quick thing. I don't know if there are people from Google Play in this room and/or watching this on the GDC Vault later in the future, but I hope there are. And on the off chance that there are, what would you tell them they should do to fix this shit?
Alex, what is your message to Google? Do you know anybody at Google?
As an ex-Googler. Okay. there was a point in here that I don't think was drilled home as hard as it could have been, which was, you got into arm rashes, and the idea was, if people are sneaking by with garbage, the thing that we did was to put a huge neon sign with an arrow pointing at ourselves and the garbage next to us, illuminating the entire underbelly of dark, weird App Store shit. And so the idea that if you do it at scale, clearly they're going to notice, and clearly they're going to change the terms of service slowly to ice you out. Hopefully others went down with us in the wake of that. Like, we provided the perfect targeted spot to drop the missile. So hopefully that, that helped get rid of duplicate apps that were also in the area. But I mean, that's the like billion-dollar question, is in an open market, how do you prevent bad things? And actually, I think that's the wrong question. It's like, the bad things should be there, but they should just be so invisible that it has no consequence to someone who took their phone out, opened Google Play, and then saw things of value that were great. And to me, that is curation.
Yeah.
But curation, like the argument that everyone makes is, we're a group of semi-homogenous people in one part of the world. How could we be the tastemakers for the entirety of all cultures and all people of all backgrounds? We can't just say, these are the best things because we believe that. We have to like figure out what is best to you individually in this targeted curation. And like, somehow, I think it revolves around curation, but it revolves around a way better version of curation that is different for each person.
Yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned earlier, very early in your talk, I mean, this obviously is an extreme example, but early in your talk, you mentioned that the Google Play and app stores in general are filled with clones, right? Like, not this extreme, but nevertheless filled with clones. And I think it all ties together, and hopefully there's a message here. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and if I could suggest to Google that they employ their own small team inside whose task is to grief them themselves. I think it might seriously work. They could, they'd.
I mean, it's the equivalent of security conference,
white
pen
hack,
testing, and
right?
white hat.
Yeah. It's like in machine learning, you have these adversarial networks that I don't know much about machine learning, but I'm saying they should just do it themselves. Yeah. They should do what we did to themselves. See how they like it.
Hey, first-time caller, long-time fan. So, is this, and are we currently in Frog Fractions 3?
So if I could repeat the question, it was, how did you two gentlemen get both so handsome and so clever?
I think that's what was whispered.
That's what he asked
with
us.
A grovelly, velvety, soft voice. Is this Frog Fractions 3? That's the question.
Just email slots@signaltonoiseapps.com with the subject Frog Fractions 3, and it will come back to you, and you've got it. As many Frog Fractions games as you want right now on your phone.
This is the rabbit hole, everyone. Go, go, go. Oh, we have, I think, time, CAs. We have time for, what, we have 3 minutes? A couple minutes.
Hi. If you would have taken on this project without scruples, and I don't know how much data you collected, if any, but do you have any idea how much money you could have made if you allowed your users to play with real money?
What if we'd gone full force, no scruples, collected money from users? What do you think the outcome would be?
Like real money gambling, wagering, etc.
Yeah.
Some of you here who actually make slot machines, you tell us, I guess. I don't know, if you took what, we could talk about that later. If someone who has a slot machine that does those things, and then we multiply them by the number of times we put out these slot machines, we may be able to come up with a number. I don't know if I want to see it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Gambling license in the store submission.
Oh, that was another thing. When we started, we actually would have had to take money from users. We would have to put in more personally identifying information to Google about what we were doing, and we didn't want to do that at first.
Yep. And we'll take one more.
I'm curious if you tracked how many times people pulled the lever on average, total?
Oh, so I have the answer to that. It is definitely did not.
Actually,
but yeah, I think we're on the same page. We forgot to even add save data at all to the app. And I think one of those reports, we only saw it while we're putting together the slide deck years later. It said, when I close the app and I open it back up, all my data is gone. And I looked at Ziba and I said, did we add saving?
I don't know.
And we're like, I don't know. And it's really not important to the philosophy.
No, so you don't know this. Actually, I did implement stats for tracking every time a slot machine was pulled. I don't remember on what stat platform, and I haven't looked at it in years. It's somewhere out there. It's going to be huge. I don't know. We'll do a whole talk on just that number next year.
Thank you. Fantastic question. I learned a lot from it.